Hi, Reg.
Good morning, gentlemen. How you doing, Theodore?
Everything's good. Now, I wanted to run a couple of things by you. First of all, we're trying to come up with theme music for James Harden and what should be played in the opposing team's arena when James is warming up. And, of course, he travels an awful lot. We also want to see if he can get a job with Travelocity. We think he would be a great spokesperson for Travelocity. Okay. Does he get away with more traveling?
Yes.
Okay.
Didn't we talk about this? Didn't we talk about this in San Antonio when you were having me explain how he gets away with that?
Yes.
And I told you he does the step back and then travels and then gets the shot off?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to hate on that. People talked about my leg kick. You do whatever is with it. If the refs are not going to call it, the officials are not going to call it, I would do it every day, all day. But it is a walk. But it's a pretty good walk, though.
Yeah.
It's subtle.
Okay.
It's a jump back.
Barkley had this to say with the AT&T crew last night, and I want to get your response to this. This is about how great Harden is.
But Kobe Bryant had 81 points in a game.
James Harden unguardable.
Kobe Bryant had 81 points.
I understand that.
There's nobody else's game close, and Wilt Chamberlain and Kobe.
I'm actually we could just.
No, I'm just saying.
I'm just saying. I think
you are disagreeing.
I think James Harden is unguardable one-on-one.
You don't. What about Kevin? You think
Minnesota
he's a
would probably
scorer
agree
than Kevin
tonight,
Durant?
Stop it. No way. I asked you a question.
Kevin Durant has led the league in scoring like 4 straight years at one point.
I'm just telling you, James Harden to me might be the most unguardable player I've ever seen.
He's definitely in the top 5.
So what he's saying then, Charles is saying he's more unguardable than Michael Jordan. Right?
I don't think he's saying that.
Well, he said that he's ever seen.
Look, I mean, people get this confused because I think when Charles say that, people are like, there's no way he's better than Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant. No question those two players are better players than James Harden. Well, I think what Charles is saying in terms of just straight one-on-one basketball, straight one-on-one, offensive talent only, James Harden is in the top 5 or the best he's ever seen. Now, look, no one's on the same planet as Michael Jordan in terms of scoring one-on-one basketball. I mean, he's on a different planet. But on the same planet with James Harden, I would put Kobe Bryant. I agree with Kenny. Kobe Bryant, people tend to forget. I would also put Allen Iverson on that planet.
Okay.
In terms of guys that were unguardable. Because that got me to thinking of, like, most of these guys I played against. Obviously, I said MJ's on a different planet. Then I would put Kobe, Allen Iverson, a guy, I'm talking about guys that I personally played against that, to me, were unguardable. Before the knee injuries, The Rock, Mitch Richmond, he was an unguardable force. George Gervin, I never played against George, but I patterned my game after George Gervin. To me, when you talk about unguardable, guys that are able to score under duress, able to score with 2 or 3 players on you. The list that I just put up, those guys, didn't matter what type of defense you put out there against them. If you put a bigger, a smaller defender, they were able to post you up. They were able to create off the bounce. And that's the key. You've got to be able to create your own shot, and you've got to be able to score under duress with 1 or 2 guys in your face, hanging on you, and you still got to be able to finish the basket. The guys I mentioned, Kobe, MJ, Gervin, Iverson, Mitch Richmond, and James Harden, all those guys can create space. They can score under duress. And to me, they make their teammates around them better as well because of their ability to score the basketball.
Well, you bring up something, you added something to it by being able to create, because Kareem is the most unguardable player in the history of the game, right? We can agree with that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
But you got to throw him the basketball.
Yes, that's true. He's not going to beat you off the dribble. We're talking to Reggie.
Right.
Reggie's got Spurs and Warriors at 10:30 tonight on TNT. Why is Kawhi Leonard getting a hall pass with this whole situation, Reg? Like, he doesn't even show up with the team. Is that done? Is this relationship done?
It sure does look like that, doesn't it? I don't understand the reason why he can't travel with the team and be around the team unless he's in more pain than we think he is. But from what I understand, he's been practicing or tried to practice. So I don't know why he's not traveling with the team. This is just not a great look for Kawhi and the San Antonio Spurs, because the Spurs have been a model organization that has always done things the right way. And this looks like this is a very bad divorce that's getting ready to happen between one of the best players in the league and one of the best franchises and coaches and organizations. So I just think it doesn't look good. It really does not look good that he's not a part of, being in the locker room and talking to these guys. I mean, they were up 20 points before his ankle injury last year in the playoffs, in the conference finals. Yeah. So I think he has a valuable voice on this team, and for him not to be a part of it, maybe he's in the back. We don't know. Is he not on the trip at all? Do we know that?
I think he's in New York
tonight. I'll find out tonight.
Yeah. I think he's in New York. Like Pop says, hey, I don't know anything about it. Ask his guys, but it feels like that he's done for the playoffs, so they're not expecting him back. And I think he was in New York continuing his rehab.
Well, I believe Pop said that he didn't think he was coming back 2 months ago, and people didn't want to believe it.
I know.
When Pop speaks, he pretty much, shoots from the hip, and he wasn't lying. So, he says we're going to go with the guys that are in the locker room, and that's it. But it's not a great look. I'm a huge Kawhi Leonard fan, and it's just not a good look for him not to be a part of this because, Finals MVP, one of the top 5 players in my opinion in the league, one of the best, if not the best, two-way players, defensive player of the year. You've got to be with your teammates.
How nervous should the Cavs be?
Very nervous. This is the problem, when you play LeBron James, because so many players, especially the younger generation, at times they get caught ball watching when you're playing Michael Jordan, when you're playing LeBron James, like a lot of us did when we played Michael Jordan, because you're in awe. The Pacers are not in awe of LeBron James because of the history, dating back to Miami and last year when he was in Cleveland. Lance Stevenson is not in awe. He can care less. So that sprinkles down to your teammates, and that sprinkles down to the organization and to the fans. The Indiana fans can care less about the great LeBron James because he is great. They're fed up. They're fed up of losing to him. So that kind of permeates throughout your team. So that's why they should be nervous, because they caught a team in the first round that could care less about his resume. As great as it is and will be, their main objective is to win. So that's look. This is going to be a long series. Everyone likes to jump off the bandwagon after one game, and the Pacers play spectacular. And Victor Oladipo, he's showing why the Pacers won that trade with Paul George. But they're not in awe of LeBron James.
Yeah, but he gets a triple-double. There's nobody consistent on the rest of that roster. That's what's amazing. There are times when I watch that team and I go, they're just not a good team. We talked about this when they made that trade with those young guys. Yeah. It's great. They got younger, but Roddy Hood, Larry Nance Jr., Jordan Clarkson, these guys are all kind of green. Great young talent, but they have not gone deep in the playoffs. And 2 of those 3 never been to the playoffs. So as great as it is to have younger talent and fresh legs on your team, it's nice to have experience. And you know who's getting a hall pass too? Kevin Love. Kevin Love, come on now. He's got to step up. Well, he's got to be that second option. The offense should go through him more than it does. I mean,
it does.
That's what I would try to correct that. I'd probably have Tristan Thompson play a little bit more inside because Oladipo wasn't afraid to go in. But I would get the ball in Kevin Love's hands and let him facilitate a little more than just every time you throw it to him, you expect him to shoot a jumper, and that's the only time you go to him. But I would try to do that if I was going to turn this around a little bit more. But I mean, they have guys on that roster. J.R. Smith, I have no idea what to expect. It feels like that roster is filled with, I have no idea what to expect, the next game. And that's not the mark of even a very good team.
I agree, but at the end of the day, Cleveland fans, it's only one game. Yes, you lost home court advantage, but it's one game. And that's why it's the best-of-7 series, and I've always felt cream will always rise to the top. So you've got the best player, in my opinion, in the league on your team in LeBron James, who's gone into other people's buildings and won huge road games. So, number one, you've got to win game 2 at home, even the series, and then you got to find a way to go into Indiana and win one, which will be very difficult because Victor Oladipo and Nate McMillan's squad could care less. Could care less. Those Pacer fans are going to be on and one.
Oh, yeah.
On one.
All right, we stumbled upon something. We started the show. It's one thing to come up with the 50 greatest players of all time. We've come up with the 50. We're trying to come up with the 50 goodest players of all time. So this is based off Al Horford. Now,
okay.
And Paul Millsap, Joe Johnson, Vlade Divac.
But Joe Johnson was an all-star for a few years.
No.
Al Horford is an all-star. You could be an all-star, though, right?
You can't make more than 5 all-star teams.
Okay. Fair enough.
Like Nick Van Exel's on the goodest players. John Starks is a goodest player. Michael Finley, a goodest player.
I would put Eddie Jones, former Laker.
Yeah.
Here's one. How about Ricky Pierce?
Ooh.
Back in the day, Ricky Pierce was a bad boy. Detlef Schrempf.
Yep. You had a roster full of guys.
Yeah.
Like you had Dale Davis, Antonio Davis, Rick Von Smits, Detlef Schrempf, Mark Jackson.
Mark Jackson could be on that list, yes.
Yeah, so it's really hard to come up with the 50 goodest players of all time.
It is. It's very difficult because these guys were on the fringe of being great, but they were paired with superstars that sometimes their talent got overshadowed. But if you took a poll of locker rooms, Mark Jackson, Detlef, Ricky Pierce, Eddie Jones, Nick Van Exel, those guys were the heartbeats of those teams.
Goodest players. Who are some of the other players that we had? McLevin?
We had Sharif Abdur-Rahim.
Sharif Abdur-Rahim.
Rashard Lewis.
Ooh, Rashard Lewis.
Lots of different. Mike Bibby was one.
Is Mike Bibby a goodest player?
Oh, yes. Mike Bibby would. Mike Bibby, Peja on that team. OG Bobby Jackson.
Bobby Jackson. Yeah, Paulie.
A lot of these guys are like great, like Jason Terry.
Yeah. Jason Terry, he would be the 6th man. He's not good enough to be a starting 5 on goodest. Now, we did have some controversy here because Paulie mentioned Kevin Johnson, and it feels like he was better than being good. So he was a very gooder, not like he's not.
All the gentlemen that we just mentioned up before Kevin Johnson will probably never be in the Hall of Fame. Kevin Johnson should be in the Hall of Fame, and he's been nominated the last 4 or 5 years. So he's on the fringe of being a Hall of Fame player.
Okay.
The other guys we mentioned will not be in the Hall of Fame. Kevin Johnson, at some point in time, will be in the Hall of Fame, so you can't make him a goodest player.
How about Derek?
If you're going to be in the Hall of Fame.
Derek Coleman?
Yes.
Okay. How about?
But he was really good. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Derek Harper? He's not on the goodest?
Nah. On that team, when he was at his height of that Dallas Maverick teams, what about Mark Aguirre?
We thought Aguirre might be too good because he was really too good early. Like his first 5 years, he's averaging 24, 25 a game. He might be too good.
Okay.
All right.
But he was a great role player on that Pistons team when he was traded to make him a good player along with Joe D, Isaiah, Lambeer, Mahorn.
Yeah. Is Lambeer a goodest?
Yes, goodest. Definitely. He might be the starting center on that goodest.
Well, we were thinking
Absolutely.
Vlade Divac might be our center on the goodest.
That's a good call. I still may go with Lambeer because of the toughness factor, too. I think I'll roll with Lambeer. Though Vlade did more. I will say Vlade was a better all-around player.
Vlade Divac. Did you ever have problems with Lambeer?
Oh, yeah. Personally, no. The Pacers, yes, because we were in that black and blue division, the Bay Division, as the bad boys. I don't know how much time I have left, but the best story ever, my rookie year, Steve Stepanovich and Bill Laimbeer. It was welcome to the NBA Rook moment. Steve Stepanovich, who was a tough Missouri 7-foot center, I mean, no nonsense, could have went down before the knee injury, could have been a great center. Jump ball, I mean, I guess he and Laimbeer had problems before. They go out for jump ball. As soon as the jump ball goes up, Steve Stepanovich slaps Bill Laimbeer. I mean, full-on slaps. And the official stops, calls a technical on Steve-O, doesn't throw him out. You see the redness on Laimbeer's cheek and like one Denzel Washington tear coming down. And I'm looking around the bench like, what in the hell have I gotten myself in? What is going on here? And it was just a history between those two. And they got him back. They got Steve-O back. But I was just like, my jaw was on the ground watching. I mean, this is jump ball. As soon as the ball goes up, you just hear the hugest slap. I'm like, he just slapped Bill Laimbeer. He just slapped Bill Laimbeer. It was the craziest thing. I was like, Dr. Jack Ramsey, are you sure you want to put me in this game? My legs were shaking walking out there. Oh, my God. It was great. It was great.
Reg calls tonight's game between the Spurs and the Warriors. That's at 10:30 Eastern on TNT with Kevin Harlan. Have fun tonight, Reg. We'll talk to you soon.
I appreciate it, Theodore and my Dan Eds. Miss y'all.
Thanks, Reg.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.